Hello, welcome to the sideboard here at the Star City Games Standard Open in Worcester, Massachusetts, part of the SCGWOR, brought to you by Ultimate Guard and Carnox Chairs. I'm Nick Miller alongside resident white creature player.
Yes, I guess
token
that's
player,
my title now.
Zach Kiihne. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Good.
We just had you on camera steamrolling the Temur Elementals deck.
Yeah, I think I could have won game 2, but I just misplayed. I cast down a Llanowar Elf instead of playing a Donto Vanguard and just Sorening.
This was one of the decks that arguably got the most from Core Set 2020. Obviously, the Elementals deck kind of exists now because of that. But this deck was one that was on the edges that is now playable.
Yes.
And you said it is all because of Sorin.
Well, yeah. So Sorin is the best card in the deck by about 3 notches. It's just, you look at your opener and you're like, well, this one has Sorin, this one doesn't. You just have to mulligan every hand without Sorin almost.
Sounds a lot like Limited when you look at your hand and it's like, well, I got my rare in it. Yeah. I'm going to keep this hand.
Yeah, this deck was really helped by the London Mulligan, I think. I honestly think it might not be playable without the London Mulligan.
Wow. That is quite the endorsement for the Mulligan rule.
Yeah, I've mulliganed to 6, 2 games per match at least. Just chip.
But as a lot of people talked about with that Mulligan rule, if you have heavy hitters to find, and this deck has probably the marquee one, you get to utilize that.
Yes.
Obviously, Sorin is very good. We'll go over the rest of the cards here because we've got the 1-drops we expect to see that have existed for a while.
Yeah.
Vicious Conquistador, Sky Marcher Aspirant, and Legion's Landing. You're no stranger to that card. But we also got Knight of the Ebon Liege. This is the other payoff for the Vampire deck.
So Knight is almost as good as Legion Landing, maybe on par, right? And Legion's Landing is obviously a very, very good 1-drop. It's one of the best 1-drops we've seen in a while. And Knight's just on par with that. Part of the reason for this is we have a Donto Vanguard in the deck, and a Donto lets you just pay 4 life starting turn 2. And the thing is, Knight, you would assume it triggers from your opponent's losing life, but it just says a player. So when you pay 4 life with your Donto, you just get a counter end of turn. I have lost at least one game to just aggressively doing this, and then my opponent played Sacred Foundry and I died. But
a little bit of the Death Shadow thing. You went a little too hard on paying your life.
There's plenty of ways to gain life, but there's also a lot of ways to lose life, so balances. Alongside
Vanguard, 2-drops here, you got the Lord, basically, as the only other one.
Imagine Benalish Marshal, but 2 mana.
Yeah. Everything just ports over from green-white tokens, basically. Surprisingly, though, no 3-drop creatures. That slot is saved for Sorin and Gideon, the other awesome Planeswalker.
Yes.
I have to imagine this one does a lot of work here with the lifelink to get your life back from the Vanguard and stuff like that.
And because all your creatures are so cheap, it's very easy for you to protect your Gideon. Other decks, just have... It's just very hard for them to attack in. And if they're attacking in, then your vampires get in. He's huge. As you mentioned, the lifelink really matters because you often pay a bunch of life, so you need ways to recover that.
Right. Removal spells, we've got Mortify and a Cast Down here.
Yeah, just a splash removal. Didn't have that much room for it. And because you're a kind of weenies deck, you don't need that much. You just need to kill 1 creature per game, maybe.
Right, and one thing about Sorin that we got to mention is I think I've played against this deck on Arena a few times, and when they have the anything into Sorin into this bad boy right here.
Splinter Twin, yeah.
The game is pretty much over at that point.
Exactly.
Champion of Dusk off.
You just draw
Sorin.
2 or 3 cards, and you're okay.
It doesn't matter what you do from that point.
And the format's evolved to a point where removing Planeswalkers is actually a lot harder, especially if you have a bunch of just random ground pounders. People have moved away from Vraska's Contempt or even the Elder Spell because a lot of decks don't have any Planeswalkers that are worth removing like that. So I play Sorin against, for example, Esper, and I just know it's going to sit and play for the rest of the game.
Right. Not only do you get the tick down upon playing it, it just gets to sit around, get the plus ability.
Yeah, and also you get to remove your opponent's heroes. You can plus and sacrifice a vampire and just kill their hero, or kill them, or kill a Planeswalker, just as any target for some reason, and it's a plus for some reason.
Right, that's your reach in this black and white deck that has no burn, but you still get to have reach on this Planeswalker.
For example, against Edgar, I was doing all his, and it's just playing out a giant board that I couldn't attack through, but he was at 3, and I played my Sorin plus.
Right, just go wide. You'll figure out how to kill him eventually.
Yeah. So another source of reach that many players play is Sanctum Seeker, and I've cut that from the deck. In my opinion, it's a 4-mana 3/4. While it says vampire and does stuff with vampires, it's just a vanilla creature that doesn't do that much. So instead, that's where I found room for both a Johnny and Gideon as these planeswalkers to kind of take advantage of the fact that you can go wide and you can pressure your opponent that way too.
Right. How do you like a Johnny in this deck?
So I personally like a Johnny. There's a lot of all your good creatures. I mean, you have no 3-drop, so the -2 is just bring back a creature. The plus is very good because in this deck you have cards like Skymarch Aspirant, Adonto Vanguard, and other life-linking creatures. So being able to put counters on your guys means you can attack through. Like, it's a lot more impactful than a deck like White Weenie, where you're just like, well, I kind of like want to make all my guys bigger. Right? This kind of lets you choose that aspect.
And how have you felt this deck's position in the format? Because a lot of people were talking about the Elementals deck coming into this weekend, and this one appears to have a pretty good matchup there.
Yeah, well, part of it is my sideboard is specifically targeted at Elementals, right? I have 4 Tocatli Honor Guard, which against almost any green deck just shuts down their ETBs, which just shuts down their whole deck. Usually when I bring them in, I have to cut a champion, but this deck doesn't have Lockstone, so it's not relying on ETBs that much. Like White Weenie a little more. And then I also have 4 Noxious Grasp. So against Elementals, Noxious Grasp is just Hero's Downfall for 2 mana that gains your life. Like, the sideboard cards are just so powerful that I'm just playing for. I considered one main deck, but did not pull the trigger.
All right. One thing we've seen from Core Set 2020 is all the decks got important sideboard cards that hose matchups across the board.
Yes. Well, one important thing about this deck is that very few of the sideboard hosers work, right? It's an enemy color deck, and all the sideboard hosers target allied colors. So there's no Aether Gust your opponent can bring in. Your opponent brings in Fry, and what are you going to kill? Like a Legion's Landing token?
Sure.
Yeah, so it's just...
I like the sideboard because it is very small. You've got your 4-ups, you've got your Honor Guards, you've got your Noxious Grasps, and then 4 Duress. This for control and Nexus, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I haven't brought in Duress, but that's probably still why I'm X1. Like, those Duress matchups tend to be not as good.
So you're telling me you haven't played Nexus yet?
No, I haven't. But I think the Nexus has kind of died down. They started running into people prepared and they kind of lost. Like, that's the story of the tournament.
Yeah, let
so
other
far.
people do the work for you.
Exactly.
And then beat up all the other players. Outside of that, you've got another Vona here in the sideboard, then 2 D-Spark. This is just your general answers to big
stuff. Yeah, like against red, you want to kill like a Chandra, an Experimental Frenzy, or like a Gruul, you want to kill like a Phoenix. Like, you just need some answers. Definitely wish I had some more flexible removals, because D-Spark is just, while it's very good and narrow, like, my opponent was playing like Legion War Boss. I'm like, well, I can't really kill that unless I draw a cast out, and I only have 2. So.
Do you think of anything like Oath of Kaya or anything? I've seen those float around in lists.
Yeah, Oath of Kaya costs a lot of mana and doesn't kill a lot, so it's not very good. It's a lot better when, obviously, I guess you have Sorin, but when you have walkers to protect, but it's just not that good.
You got 3 planeswalkers. What are you talking about?
I want to be able to. The thing is, it's really important to kill the big creatures so that your small creatures can attack. And often they can't trade their small creatures, so like just killing like Cavalier of Thorns is really important.
Okay. Well, 8 rounds in, you're 7-1.
Yes.
How do you like the deck now that you've played it for a day in the new format?
I like it. I'm still mulliganing a lot, which I think that's a sign that I'm playing like well and mulliganing aggressively for the good cards, but it still feels bad when I'm like, oh, well, I can't keep this one, just ship it back. But no, I think it's pretty good. It is very aggressive. It does just have plenty of White Weenie starts, like Skymarch Aspirant until Legion Lieutenant until Legion Lieutenant, what I did to Edgar, and he just died. Like,
right. Still have that clean triple 1-drop draw you can have and punish all the slow,
Yes,
dirtily decks.
Of course. You have 14 total 1-drops, so.
All right, any changes or anything to wrap up? Or anything you're thinking about down the line?
Not right now, but ask me Sunday, and I'll probably be able to
All
tell
right,
you.
we wish you the best of luck. Zach, I'm Nick Miller. Stay tuned to Star City Games all weekend long for the action here in Worcester.